empezar, bueno, buenos días, lo primero, muchísimas gracias por estar hoy aquí. Tenemos que tiene dos partes, una más aburrida, que es la mía, y luego la otra, que seguramente será muchísimo más entretenida y enriquecedora, que es la de Greg. Pero, en fin, vamos a ir rápidamente sobre la primera parte del programa, en el cual vamos a hablar un poco sobre la oficina bancaria. La oficina bancaria en la era actual, la era que se le llama de muchas maneras, pero en fin, hemos dado en llamarle era omnichannel, y cómo las comunicaciones dentro de la oficina pues pueden o no funcionar. Vamos a repasar un poco, para empezar, esto funciona. Para empezar, quería hablar un poco sobre bueno, cuál es la situación de la oficina bancaria, de los bancos retail en general, ¿no? A partir de ahí hablar un poco de las comunicaciones en general y finalizar con lo que creemos que en la era omnichannel tiene que ser. Y bueno, para empezar en donde estamos, pues qué mejor que así no se falla, ¿no? He pensado que era lo mejor. Hay muchísimos, prácticamente donde mire uno, pues cualquiera que escriba sobre oficinas bancarias, hoy día bueno, hay una serie de cuestiones que están claras, ¿no? Es decir, tienen que cambiar, seguramente hay demasiadas, seguramente los clientes se quieren relacionar con las entidades financieras por muchísimos otros canales. Pero en fin, he elegido estas palabras de Francisco González en esta reunión en Shanghai porque creo que fue una presentación muy interesante en la que realmente pues dijo muy claramente cosas que no es fácil encontrar en una presentación, ¿no? Y he rescatado unos cuantos párrafos, no porque sean más interesantes, sino porque además se prestan un poco mejor al tema de hoy, ¿no? Pero para empezar, en el que dice que bueno, la tecnología, la experiencia today es digital cada vez más. Hay algunos estudios que muestran que en el 2016, puede ser un poco antes o después, pero los clientes pues realmente van a venir de media 2 veces a las oficinas simplemente, y todo lo demás va a ser a través de canales remotos. Evidentemente, pues esto cambia completamente el estándar de muchos años. Y él venía a decir pues, que las reglas del juego han cambiado y que, en fin, realmente los bancos que están pensando todavía si deben introducir cambios, pues están totalmente perdiendo el tiempo, ¿no? Hay una serie de entidades ajenas al mundo financiero que están desembarcando, con las que hay que competir, y de alguna manera esto me pareció muy interesante al final. Es decir, es un mundo muy difícil, es un mundo complicado, es un mundo en el que banking as a technology industry deja de ser un poco lo que era y es tecnología, y realmente la esperanza simplemente no es una estrategia, y la última frase que es bastante lapidaria, change or die. Pero la realidad es esta, es decir, ha habido muchas empresas de muchos ramos, es decir, los libros, la música, etcétera, que evidentemente pues han desaparecido tal y como se conocían por no haber cambiado a tiempo. De manera que nos encontramos en esa situación para empezar a hablar, porque si estamos hablando de comunicación en oficinas, bueno, las oficinas realmente van a existir o qué es lo que va a pasar con ellas, ¿verdad? Siguiendo por la misma línea de referencias interesantes, pues José Laya, la cabeza de Multichannel Strategy de BBVA, aquí mismo en este escenario, en el 19 de noviembre, tuvo una intervención que está disponible, por cierto, en la web y que es muy interesante, la recomiendo para el que no la haya visto, en el que él comentaba, bueno, pues efectivamente hay tendencias que también pasan en banca, la creciente digitalización, la mayor demanda de servicios nativos en los distintos canales, y los clientes omnicanal, es decir, clientes efectivamente que se acercan a la entidad a través de distintos canales. Y decía, bueno, el futuro parece que está claro, ¿no? Que el cliente se va a relacionar con la entidad por varios canales y las oficinas tendrán otro rol. Y venía a decir un poco, y mira, perdonar, consultores, gurús, varios, dejar de decir esto, ¿no? Está claro, es decir, ya, esto no es ningún insight que todo el mundo lo ve que claramente esto va a ser así. Luego, sin embargo, decía, pero la realidad también en los bancos universales, no solamente en BBVA, es que más del 50% de los clientes, el 50%, incluso depende de qué mercados, bastantes más, son clientes de los que son llamados branch lovers, es decir, que realmente todavía sí pueden conectar con la entidad a través de los canales de vez en cuando, pero realmente la oficina sigue siendo el centro, digamos, de su universo de relación. Y luego hay un estudio de EFMA en que decía, bueno, la mayor parte de las operaciones de valor añadido de venta interesantes se realizan todavía en las oficinas, es decir, todavía la mayoría de las ventas se realizan en las oficinas. Aunque decía este mismo estudio que en 3 años la oferta pues, será la misma en todos los canales. Y que las interacciones entre canales serán automáticas, etcétera, etcétera. Un poco el universo que está claro, ¿no? Pero claro, eso también pasaba hace 5 años, ¿no? Ese es un poco el insight de esto. Es decir, efectivamente, hace 5 años todo el mundo tenía claro que iba a pasar eso, hoy lo sigue teniendo, pero la realidad es que un poco cuándo va a suceder y de qué manera va a suceder, pues es lo que no está tan claro, ¿no? Entonces la cuestión un poco no es lo que va a pasar en la oficina bancaria, sino cómo se llega ahí, es decir, cómo se llega desde un modelo actual en el que pues el grueso de la fuerza proactiva de ventas de muchos bancos universales está todavía en las oficinas, es decir, realmente la fuerza proactiva no está en esos otros canales. Bueno, lo dejamos un poco como reflexión. Este pequeño gráfico simplemente viene a decir que, bueno, en el pasado, en algún momento en el pasado, cuando empezó las relaciones de los bancos con los clientes, todo pasaba en la oficina. El 100% de las ventas, el 100% de los contactos, el 100% de las transacciones estaban en las oficinas, no había ningún otro canal, ¿verdad? Hoy día, pues, evidentemente las transacciones, bueno, y esto presente, pues depende mucho de la entidad, depende del mercado, pero está claro que las transacciones y los contactos han bajado muchísimo, posiblemente ni siquiera la mitad, como pone ahí aproximadamente, se realizan en las oficinas, pero las ventas se siguen realizando, también depende de los mercados y las entidades, de una manera muy mayoritaria en las oficinas. Entonces, y llegamos al futuro, y en el futuro todo el mundo está de acuerdo, como comentábamos, en el que tanto las transacciones como los contactos entre cliente y entidad pues se van a realizar la mayoría fuera de las oficinas. Pero realmente esas ventas van a seguir realizándose en las oficinas o van a pasar a otro sitio. Es decir, y este círculo que presenta un poco entre la diferencia entre el presente y el futuro, pues es una cuestión distinta en distintos mercados, distinta en distintas entidades, pero que evidentemente tiene un recorrido muy interesante, porque esas ventas realmente se van a bajar hasta el final, y entonces hasta abajo del todo, hasta equipararse a las transacciones, con lo cual, evidentemente, las oficinas bancarias no tienen ningún papel, o realmente se va a mantener un poco en el medio, con lo cual habrá algún papel para ellas. Bueno, con lo cual, el nuevo papel, la oficina seguirá existiendo de alguna manera mientras los clientes prefieran utilizarla, porque no olvidemos que hay muchos clientes que para cierto tipo de transacciones o de operaciones quiere tener una oficina bancaria, que necesita tenerla, pero también mientras las entidades financieras implementen la venta omnichannel, es decir, las entidades tienen que seguir vendiendo y esa venta omnichannel es importante que se produzca en otros canales si no se produce en las oficinas. Claro, la cuestión es que todas las entidades están envueltas en este momento en desarrollos de nueva propuesta tecnológica y de canales, muy complicada, muchísimos recursos, se están reinventando de alguna manera, lo vemos en cualquier entidad con la que nos relacionamos, ¿no? La cuestión es qué se hace con la red de oficinas, ¿no? Pero ajustar su tamaño, bueno, parece que eso es evidente, pero ¿hasta qué punto, no? Y simplemente reducir el tamaño es suficiente, o de alguna manera hay que pensar en hacer otras cosas. Como es obvio, parece ser que sí, pero vamos a ver un poco cómo, ¿no? He traído una cita de Bain Consulting que me parece interesante, ¿no? Bueno, dice, efectivamente, en un mundo omnichannel las oficinas van a jugar un papel diferente. Bueno, pues todo lo que hemos estado hablando y lo que parece obvio, ¿no? Pero un poco la parte interesante es que waiting on act on branch design, esperar a realmente rehacer las oficinas o rehacer el diseño de las oficinas hasta que todas las transacciones ya estén fuera de las oficinas, hasta que nadie las visite ya, porque no tiene ningún sentido, probablemente sea demasiado tarde, ¿no? Y nosotros creemos que el reto es el mantener la oficina bancaria, la red de oficinas como una fuente de una ventaja competitiva, porque al final es lo que es decir, las oficinas son una ventaja competitiva muy importante, pero hay que reforzar la relevancia y realmente que sean atractivas para relaciones de consultoría en el mundo omnichannel. Es decir, utilizar ese recurso que se tiene de oficinas, pero utilizarlo de una manera distinta, pero hacerlo realmente atractivo para algún tipo de relación, cosa que en este momento, en general, pues sucede poco. Vamos a dejar un poco el mundo de la oficina bancaria tal y como es hoy día y vamos a ir a comentar, bueno, en el tiempo, la comunicación en oficinas bancarias, que tiene sus intríngulis, ¿no? Y bueno, los rasgos que definen la mentalidad del cliente pues son distintos en la oficina, siempre lo han sido, de lo que es en el retail en general. Es decir, el cliente va en modo de gestión, digamos, no va en modo de compra o de exploración. Cuando un cliente va a una tienda retail en general, pues va a comprar lo que tienen allí o por lo menos a ver lo que tienen en general. Cuando un cliente va a una oficina bancaria en general ni va a comprar ni va a mirar, realmente no va a mirar, va a hacer su gestión y es mucho más difícil comunicar con ellos, ¿no? Muchas veces nosotros decimos que comunicar en una oficina bancaria es un poco como el que entrena con un balón medicinal de estos pesadísimos y luego cuando juega el partido de baloncesto pues la bola le parece ligerísima. Pues pasa un poco igual con los bancos. Es muy difícil comunicar con clientes que realmente no están allí para ver, al contrario que en retailers, ¿no? En segundo lugar, pues evidentemente cada vez más la gente va a las oficinas para que le atienda una persona, porque bueno, cada día más para hacerlo con una máquina no vengo en la oficina, ¿no? Esto es sacado de alguna de las encuestas, ¿no? Y por supuesto la experiencia de que el banco intentará venderle algo, con lo cual hay un poco ese modo también un poco pues de, mira, no quiero escuchar nada, quiero simplemente terminar de hacer mi gestión y marcharme lo antes posible. Lo cual quiere decir que todo esto complica y es un reto para la comunicación. Y vamos a hablar un poco del marketing digital, PLU y dinámico, se llama de muchísimas maneras. Pues históricamente ha habido muchas pruebas en falso, no ha terminado de alguna manera de cuajar en algunos mercados, en otros sí, pero tiene complicaciones, ¿no? En primer lugar, es difícil de implementar porque la red de oficinas pues está ahí, no se trata de diseñar oficinas nuevas, sino es implementar algo en espacios ya existentes. Las infraestructuras pues están ahí también en cuanto a tecnología, no estuvieron diseñadas para distribuir vídeos ni contenidos, sino para el negocio, con lo cual todo eso complica bastante, no es un ecosistema muy amigable en las redes informáticas de los bancos. Y luego hay una gestión multidepartamental que también es complicado muchas veces de enhebrar, ¿no? Entre marketing, tecnología, oficinas, etc. Y luego, difícil de utilizar en general. Muchas veces hemos visto que las herramientas del día de manejo pues, son complicadas. Muchas veces cae uno de estos proyectos encima de las personas de marketing o los usuarios dentro del banco de una manera que va a más sobre lo que ya tienen y bueno, pues las herramientas no son tan sencillas, ¿no? Y luego lo alimentar a la bestia, bueno, muy bien, ya he instalado mi sistema, pero luego hay que darle de comer todos los días. Entonces esto desde un punto de vista económico pues es complicado, pero no solamente eso, sino es la gestión, digamos, desde que se diseña algo hasta que se pone en display, que realmente muchas veces no se ha diseñado y una vez que están las pantallas, de bueno, y ahora cómo se alimentan, ¿verdad? Bueno, esto a lo que ha llevado mucho tiempo, muchas veces es que muchas pruebas y muchos sistemas, la programación se localiza poco, es decir, de alguna manera en todos sitios ponen lo mismo y lo cambian poco. Entonces, claro, un sistema de este tipo, que una de sus virtudes o sus virtudes más importantes son que realmente puedes localizar la comunicación dependiendo del tipo de clientes que van a cada oficina, etcétera. Pues si al final resulta que pones lo mismo en todos sitios y que además cambias ese contenido muy poco, pues realmente no hemos avanzado demasiado sobre un cartel antiguo, ¿verdad? Y luego vemos, y vamos a comentar también sobre ello luego, que hay escaso o ningún entretenimiento. Es decir, muchas veces muchas entidades bueno, pues colocan cosas una detrás de otra, de venta, de corporativas, etcétera. El cliente, bueno, pues a lo mejor el primer día pues mira entretenido porque es, bueno, pero luego decir, oye, esto es venta pura y dura. Vamos a comentar un poco sobre el tema, ¿no? Y bueno, todo eso ha llevado muchas veces a que es difícil de encontrar el retorno de la inversión y hacer un business case convincente. Es decir, no siempre es así, pero de alguna manera esto es un universo de problemas y de situaciones que nos encontramos en las entidades financieras, ¿verdad? Con los temas interactivos, pues también pasa un poco el mismo, ¿no? Es decir, es muy difícil hacer que los clientes exploren por su cuenta, porque la situación de la mente del cliente, como hemos comentado, no es de exploración, es realmente de resolver la gestión, ¿no? Antiguamente había muchos folletos y cuanto menos se cogían, más folletos se producían en general, ¿no? Y muy pocos los cogían, ¿no? Y hoy pasa lo mismo con los elementos interactivos, es decir, uno ve pues, oficinas del futuro, etcétera, con grandes esfuerzos de elementos interactivos y realmente la interactividad que se produce el día a día es pequeña y es bueno, precisamente por eso, es decir, porque el cliente no está allí para explorar y además muchas veces si son grandes displays pues también de alguna manera no sé si da un poco de vergüenza o no quieres que la gente vea lo que tú estás haciendo. En fin, hay una combinación de elementos, ¿no? Si son una herramienta de colaboración, entonces sí funcionan bien, ¿eh? Eso es así. Ahí tenemos unos cuantos ejemplos, pero hay muchos más. Si el elemento interactivo es algo en el que colabora el cliente con el empleado y sirve un poco de plataforma para esa comunicación, para esa venta o para esa discusión sobre lo que sea, entonces sí funcionan bien. Y bueno, vamos a ir un poco, ya hemos hablado de las oficinas, como están ahora, un poco de la comunicación. Vamos a ir un poco a lo que pensamos que debería ser o por dónde debería ir la comunicación multimedia en oficinas en esta era de muchos canales, ¿verdad? Bueno, esto es obvio, ¿no? Hay que conseguir visitas más agradables, visitas más interesantes. Yo añadiría también visitas productivas desde un punto de vista del negocio. Pero luego hay un paso más, que es visitas interconectadas con otros canales. Yo creo que un poco esa es la cuestión, es decir, que cada visita o cada contacto en cada uno de los canales sea perfectamente asimilable, que sea continua, pero también en las oficinas, porque muchas veces vemos que eso se habla de los demás canales, pero en la oficina también tiene que suceder eso. Entonces, bueno, para que suceda eso, hay una serie de cuestiones que tienen que suceder, es decir, para que esas comunicaciones multimedia funcionen bien. Primero, que funcione bien, y esto parece una obviedad, pero es bastante interesante, porque quiere decir que funcione bien, quiere decir que no es solamente un software, un gestor de contenidos, etcétera, sino que tiene que funcionar, digamos, hay muchos dientes en este mecanismo que tienen que encajar uno con otro, y que si uno de ellos se para, pues ya los demás, pues muy bien, puede ser el mejor software, los mejores displays, pero realmente si alguno de estos otros dientes no encaja, pues seguramente el sistema no va a funcionar y lo que se pone en display y el cliente ve al final, pues no es lo deseado, ¿no? Desde el punto de vista estratégico, desde el punto de vista técnico, como he comentado antes, tiene que funcionar muy bien dentro de la red del banco, cosa que no es nada sencilla. La operativa del día a día tiene que ser suficientemente sencilla y estar pensado para que el workflow funcione y para que los contenidos que se ponen por el display, desde su alumbramiento estratégico, digamos, hasta que se ponen el cliente, pues se sepa cómo funcionan y que no sea algo que vaya a trompicones, ¿no? Y evidentemente, bueno, tiene que estar en conexión con el resto del esfuerzo de marketing de la entidad. Y luego tiene que encajar bien con lo que hay en las oficinas, es decir, las oficinas bancarias tienen muchísimos tipos, formas, no son las mismas en muchos aspectos, los displays tienen que ser los que tienen que ser, no ni más grandes ni más chicos, etcétera, etcétera. Es decir, todo esto tiene que encajar bien y se tiene que estudiar bien. En segundo lugar, tiene que ser operativo, ¿no? De alguna manera, no puede ser que, bueno, tengamos esto y entonces cada día alguien en el banco tenga que pensar, bueno, este mensaje lo voy a enviar a esta oficina, pero a esta no, porque entonces no funciona al final, ¿no? Entonces, de alguna manera, tiene que ser un gestor, una plataforma, digamos, que, primero, sea capaz de ingerir, digamos, muchísimos datos, es decir, datos de oficinas, de clientes, datos cambiantes muchas veces, de satisfacción del cliente, cualquier dato que nos vaya a servir para hacer el traje de programación que cada oficina necesita. En segundo lugar, como comentábamos, la comunidad de usuarios pues tiene que estar clara, ¿no? ¿Quiénes son esos usuarios? Nosotros hemos tenido clientes que había 6 usuarios distintos dentro de la entidad. Bueno, cada uno pues, programaba, estaba estratégicamente definido, es decir, digamos, el peso de cada uno de los departamentos está definido, ese 20% para uno, 10% para otro, etcétera. Pero dentro de eso, pues cada usuario tenía su interfaz y subía sus cosas a las oficinas que quería, de manera que el resultado en cada oficina era distinto, ¿no? Pero bueno, todo eso tiene que estar desarrollado de manera que sea posible, que las interfaces sean fáciles, que no haya una formación tremenda, que haya falta repetir, etcétera, etcétera, ¿no? Y luego, por último, los objetivos del negocio tienen que estar presentes, porque si no, todo no tiene sentido nada de lo que estamos hablando, ¿no? Y se tienen que fijar los algoritmos de programación de acuerdo a los objetivos de negocio, que digan, bueno, pues yo quiero que en este tipo de oficinas o con este tipo de clientes pues haya estos contenidos, a estas horas, en estos días de la semana, del mes, etcétera, etcétera, y que eso de alguna manera sea posible de dejarlo montado, digamos, y revisarlo cada año o cada 6 meses o cuando sea, pero que después todos los contenidos pasen directamente, es decir, se ha fijado dónde quiero mandar cada tipo de contenido y a partir de ahí simplemente enviarlo y el sistema lo pone, ¿no? Entonces, esa es la cuestión, es decir, a partir de ahí, que sin hacer un esfuerzo diario de qué es lo que tengo que hacer, nadie dentro del banco, porque si no, no va a pasar, pues realmente cada contenido vaya a donde tiene que ir. En segundo lugar, que los clientes miren, es decir, que no sea un ladrillo, eso es un poco así, pero es la realidad, es decir, hay mucha programación de entidades financieras que sinceramente es un ladrillo. Entonces, pues lo que comentábamos antes, el cliente pues, puede mirarlo un día, tal, pero al final, si está claro que lo que es decir, que es muy aburrido y que además me está intentando vender, etcétera, pues lo más posible o lo más probable es que ni siquiera se mire, ¿verdad? Esto es algo interesante porque es un contrato intangible, digamos, que se empezó a crear pues, en esta época, no sé en qué, en los 30 o los 40, en el cual, bueno, pues no había escrito nada en ningún sitio, pero realmente pues, la cuestión estaba clara. Tú me enseñas una serie de programas que son entretenidos para mí y a cambio yo veo una publicidad que tú me enseñas. Es en lo que se basó por la televisión comercial inicialmente, ¿no? Entonces ese contrato intangible sigue vigente en muchos sitios, sigue vigente en las páginas web, es decir, oye, esta banner contiene publicidad invasiva, pues evidentemente ya de alguna manera se ha roto ese contrato, ¿no? Entonces ese contrato intangible cuando se rompe, pues el espectador pues nota que se ha violado ese contrato de alguna manera y deja de mirar, ¿no? Y las entidades financieras son bastante especialistas en esto, muchas veces quizás porque no hay contenidos entretenidos suficientes, por lo que sea, ¿no? Pero muchas veces esto se hace ver. Y en tercer lugar, creemos que lo que tiene que suceder es que cree un vínculo con la experiencia en otros canales. Es decir, de alguna manera, de todas las cosas que hay dentro de una oficina bancaria en esta era omnichannel, pues estas pantallas tienen que ser las ventanas, digamos, a otra serie de canales digitales, etcétera, ¿no? Tanto en la administración de contenidos, como vamos a ver, la interacción con los displays desde móviles y tabletas, y por último, una cosa que nos parece muy importante y que vamos a comentar también, el móvil como consola de comunicación con el banco. Es decir, no solamente de manera remota, cuando uno está lejos de la oficina bancaria y hace todo lo que tenga que hacer, sino también durante su visita. Vamos a ver cómo. Y por cierto, como hablamos de las touchscreens, pues yo creo que es game over. Ya se jugó la partida y la touchscreen favorita es la que todo el mundo lleva en el bolsillo. La respuesta es sí, todo el mundo quiere interactuar con touchscreens, pero con esta, no con ninguna otra. Todas las kioscos, grandes pantallas, etcétera, etcétera, caras. Bueno, al final el bottom line es que la gente quiere interactuar con su touchscreen que lleva en su bolsillo en general. Entonces vamos a ver algún tipo de experiencias que se están llevando a cabo interactivas con el touchscreen favorito y, lógicamente, en el entorno de la oficina bancaria, que es de lo que estamos viendo, ¿no? Bring your own device, provocar diálogo e interacción integrando los dispositivos de los clientes. Es decir, un poco la cuestión es los mensajes que están en distintos tipos de displays, pues que realmente el display del cliente sea uno más. Y a partir de ahí puedes hacer muchas cosas. Hay muchas posibilidades técnicas que Greg nos va a comentar después con mucho más detalle, no quiero entrar en mucho. Es decir, bueno, hay todo el tema de geofencing, en el cual puedes acceder a los móviles de la gente que está dentro de un sitio determinado. Por ejemplo, teniendo un software development kit en una aplicación concreta bueno, con un sonido que es inaudible, pero cuando el móvil detecta eso con la aplicación, pues entra en display y pone pues, lo que uno quiera decir. Es una posibilidad, ¿no? Y a partir de ahí pues, puede haber bueno, encuestas de calidad, puede haber links a redes sociales, puede haber pedir información adicional sobre productos. Las posibilidades ahí son muy grandes, ¿verdad? Otras posibilidades, pues todo el tipo de beacons, iBeacon de Apple y muchos otros que habrá, y una vez más, pues Greg antes luego nos comentará más. En fin, todas estas posibilidades pues están en desarrollo y son ya reales y posibles, ¿no? Hay una posibilidad que nos parece muy interesante y es que el cliente interactúe en su móvil con una página web de la oficina, es decir, y en esa página pues puede haber información de cita previa, juegos, información de las filas, información sobre productos, ofertas. Entonces, un poco, esa es la promesa un poco de la oficina omnichannel, es vivir la oficina a través del canal móvil. De alguna manera, muchos de los clientes branch lovers que siguen queriendo interactuar solamente en el canal oficina, de esta manera pues están interactuando en el canal oficina, pero a través de uno de los canales digitales y móviles. Esto nos parece que es muy interesante. Y muchas otras cosas que se pueden hacer. Tweets en tiempo real se pueden poner en display, lógicamente, para integrar canales de redes sociales con la de la oficina. El tema de gamificación, que, en fin, estamos en BBVA y, como sabéis, pues son realmente la vanguardia en entidades financieras en este sentido. Pues esta gamificación que existe en la página web, pues llevarla también a la oficina, ¿no? Y de alguna manera hacer que el cliente se pueda entretener o pueda contestar a retos o a preguntas, etcétera, a cualquier tipo de contenido que está en las pantallas y de alguna manera interactúe y que lo que haga en su móvil pues afecte al contenido de las pantallas. Y luego, bueno, pues todo esto se puede llevar a otros elementos, es decir, se pueden extender a eventos fuera de la oficina, con temas de realidad aumentada que son conocidos, pero que son muy interesantes el hacerlos, el plantearlos de manera que, imaginaros que cada fachada de la oficina, pues a través de realidad aumentada, pues nos puede decir múltiples cosas. Se puede hacer en eventos, en kioscos, en oficinas de autoservicio. Realmente se puede llevar esta experiencia a cualquier sitio. Puedes apropiar de iconos financieros, es decir, es relativamente fácil hacer esto y apoyarlo con distintos tipos de campañas, pero pues son todas cosas que si el cliente realmente entra en el modo de utilizar el móvil como consola de comunicación con la entidad, pues se pueden pensar. Y un poco las buenas noticias de todo esto es que el mismo software de gestión de contenidos que se utiliza en las pantallas, que tradicionalmente se ha utilizado, tanto las interactivas como las no interactivas, pues se puede utilizar también para programar todo lo demás que estamos viendo. Es decir, la cuestión sería entonces unificar toda esa gestión, no solamente lo que se muestra, sino todo el tema interactivo también, incluso a través de dispositivos móviles de la entidad y dispositivos móviles del cliente. Es decir, esto creo que es un paso adelante importante desde el punto de vista de comunicación multimedia. Y bueno, para terminar vamos a ver un poco, volvemos un poco al tema de red de oficinas actual y red de oficinas omnichannel, ¿no? Entonces, esto es un poco lo que está sucediendo hasta ahora, es decir, hay una red de oficinas existente y al cliente, de alguna manera, se le están poniendo a su disposición pues, muchos canales muy cómodos, ubicuos, usted se puede relacionar de la manera que quiera, y garantizando pues, un poco, o intentando buscar la mejor experiencia de cliente que se pueda buscar en el mundo, ¿no? Y lo que pensamos es que también tiene que ir en la otra dirección, es decir, para que realmente la red de oficinas se convierta en esa parte, en esa pieza de la oferta omnichannel, tiene que haber también esta otra dirección, es decir, que en todos los demás canales también se promuevan que en las oficinas hay una serie de cosas disponibles y que generalmente no es que no estén disponibles en otros canales, sino que realmente es más fácil de hacer en la oficina y además que seguramente el cliente va a querer hacer en la oficina. Pero digamos, este paso adelante en que la red de oficinas no deje de ser lo que es y sea parte del omnichannel, creemos que es por donde tiene que ir para que esas ventas en las oficinas se mantengan en algún nivel, pero al mismo tiempo las ventas también se produzcan en otro tipo de canales. Y bueno, esto es lo que teníamos por ahí como primera intervención. Si tenéis alguna pregunta, pues encantado. Yo no sé si un altavoz por aquí. ¿Esto funciona? Sí, pero como lo están grabando...
Ah, vale, perdona. No, yo quería preguntarte, la primera diapositiva había unas frases que me llaman la atención, es mayor demanda de servicios nativos. ¿Qué es para vos? No sé qué quiere decir eso de servicios nativos.
Bueno, esto era parte de lo que comentó José Olaya. Servicios nativos quiere decir que estén pensados para cada uno de los canales, es decir, que no estés viendo a través del móvil algo que sí, que lo estás viendo a través del móvil, pero que estaba pensado claramente para verse en otro canal, etcétera, etcétera. Y un poco en cada canal, pues que realmente no sea algo que sea un poco, pues eso, que se vea a través de una cosa lo que está pensado para otro, sino que realmente las cosas, los contenidos se diseñen y se pongan en cada canal, pero pensados realmente en lo que se puede hacer. Porque realmente luego, aunque la oferta es la misma, pero está claro que pues en un móvil con una pantalla pequeña, aunque sigue siendo pequeña, pues hay ciertas cosas que no vas a querer hacer, ¿no? No porque no estén disponibles, sino porque realmente tiene pocos sentidos y hay otras posibilidades. Bueno, esa es un poco la cuestión. Y desde ese punto de vista es interesante también definir cuál es el perfil omnichannel de cada cliente, porque no todos somos iguales, ni seguramente lo seremos, ¿no? Hay gente, bueno, pues que utilizan más un tablet o un móvil, o utilizan más la web, y otros que utilizan más seguramente otros, ¿no?
Hola, antes que nada, felicitaciones por la presentación, muy buena.
Gracias.
¿Y qué hay del layout de las oficinas, de la parte de infraestructura? Algo tiene que cambiar en ellas. Te comento rápidamente una experiencia fuera de España. Un banco cuya su eslogan era abiertos a ti, ¿no? Pero tenías que superar 3 puertas blindadas para entrar al banco y lo que menos te transmitiera que estaba abierto a ti. ¿Hay alguna tendencia con respecto a esto?
Sí, yo creo que ese es un poco el reto. Lo que pasa es que, claro, el trabajar el hacer cosas en las oficinas es caro, es muy caro. Es decir, en comparación con lo que significa lanzar canales, digamos, alternativos, digitales, etcétera, etcétera, una gran red de oficinas pues es algo que uno tiene que tratar con cuidado porque evidentemente la inversión puede ser tremenda, ¿no? Entonces, a partir de ahí, en momentos de incertidumbre, como pueden ser un poco estos, es decir, exactamente qué va a pasar, pues también es comprensible que esas obras, bueno, pues de alguna manera las entidades se lo piensen bien, ¿no? Pero yo creo que es obvio que tiene que ser así, es decir, la oficina está pensada como un centro de transacción en el que luego alrededor de la cual pasaban cosas, eso es un poco, y con temas de seguridad y con temas es decir, cuando un retailer en general piensa la tienda pues simplemente para exponer sus productos y venderlos. Las oficinas bancarias no estaban pensadas así, estaban pensadas muchas veces como un fortín. Y eso evidentemente pues tiene que cambiar. Y yo creo que está cambiando ya y que poco a poco... Pero eso es un poco lo que comentábamos al decir cuál es la oficina omnichannel. La oficina omnichannel tiene que ser algo en el cual tú cuando entres ahí estés en relación con el resto de canales y no tengas, bueno, por supuesto, un búnker, no tengas puertas, no tengas seguridad, seguramente no tengas cash, con lo cual muchos de esos problemas pues también desaparecerán. Pero evidentemente una cosa es bueno, un proyecto de oficina, un piloto, que son interesantes, pero el llevar todo eso a las redes, bueno, pues llevará un poquito de tiempo seguramente. Yo creo que antes de eso pues, veremos una tendencia a que el trato, digamos, y las cosas disponibles en la oficina pues, sean otros, y finalmente llegará la remodelación del ladrillo, que evidentemente es complicada, ¿no?
Sí, respecto a lo que has mencionado como contrato intangible, que me parece muy acertado, yo opino exactamente lo mismo, pero lo que me cuesta ver, voy a ir un poquito más allá, es decir, ¿cómo es ese contrato intangible, cómo sería en banca? ¿Qué porcentaje de contenido interesante o de interés para el usuario o entretenido tiene que haber y qué porcentaje de publicidad?
Bueno, yo creo que eso es un poco la pregunta del millón. Y que no es igual seguramente ni en todas las entidades ni en todas las oficinas. Seguramente en oficinas en las que haya pues mucha espera, por decir algo, pues a lo mejor hay que volcarse un poco más y poner un poco más de contenido entretenido y ser flexible también en ese sentido, ¿no? Pero yo creo que tampoco, es decir, muchas veces el entretenimiento primero no cuadra bien tradicionalmente un poco con la imagen seria, conservadora de las entidades financieras, y luego también asustado un poco de decir, bueno, pero ¿esto qué es? No somos Walt Disney, ¿qué entretenimiento vamos a poner, ¿no? Creo que tampoco hay que irse demasiado lejos, es decir, tampoco el cliente espera una cosa realmente, una juerga en la oficina, pero sí cosas que pueden ser entretenidas, es decir, noticias, pues, información del tráfico, cosas que aunque a mí no me interesen mucho como cliente, como persona en ese momento, pero veo que el banco está haciendo un esfuerzo para hacer algo que realmente no es solamente presionar el producto, ¿no? Yo creo que con elementos de este tipo se pueden hacer cosas que se puedan comprar, es decir, que no sea fuera de los... y el porcentaje exacto, no lo sé exactamente. Nosotros estamos haciendo experiencias ahora de pasarse mucho por el lado de entretenimiento, sobre todo en ciertas oficinas, y yo creo que está funcionando bastante bien. O sea que yo creo que una parte creciente, digamos, de entretenimiento es interesante. Yo creo que ha habido muchas veces que se ha sido demasiado ambicioso en decir, wow, ya que tengo el canal voy a empujar todo este contenido. No, no puede ser. Es decir, estos canales no son un programa de televisión, no puedes poner textos tremendos que se lean, tal, imposible, ¿no? Tiene que ser algo que sea rápido, que sea dinámico, porque si no la gente pues, se pone a mirar su móvil o se pone a pensar en otra cosa, ¿no? Entonces el entretenimiento es creo, una parte importante y bueno, ¿cuál es el peso exacto? Pues es complicado. Muy bien, pues muchas gracias y prácticamente lo hemos hecho justo con lo previsto. La siguiente intervención va a ser de Greg. 5 minutos, si queréis, de descanso y empezamos. Gracias.
Cuando fuimos a ver a la BBVA, el tema de ideas para cambios, porque no se utilizaban los...
Correcto.
Y yo, aunque no era nuestro terreno, pero
Voy a quitar esto.
les propuse los contenidos.
2. Good morning. So, unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish, so it'll have to happen in English. I'll try to not go too fast. I am from New York, and in New York we speak very quickly. But if I'm going too fast or you're not understanding, please indicate it somehow to me. So, my name is Greg Harper, and I was asked to sort of give an overview of the digital trends as we're seeing them now that are going to affect all of us. And I'm going to show you some things that you may say, well, how does that relate to banking? The answer is, this is what your customers are using, and this is what they're experiencing. So when they come into your branches, into your offices, this is the life, the world that they're going to be expecting. So I'm not necessarily going to give, as Miguel did, a specific to the bank, although we could do that if you wanted afterwards. But I'm going to sort of give you an overview of where things are going. The first thing, okay. The first thing is making the slides work. But they don't seem to want to work. Well, I'll use my own. So the first thing you learn about technology is it never works perfectly. So you always bring a backup. The backup. Because you never know when you're going to need it. And hopefully, no, that's not, oh, okay. Well, okay, so that's definitely working. There we go, let's just exit show here, and we'll do this again. Right from the start. There we go. Okay. All right. If there's a will, there's a way. All right. So sorry for that interruption. Backup worked. So first, a disclaimer. I do not represent any of these companies. I do not endorse any of these companies. These are simply what I'm showing you are examples. And in fact, almost everything that I have here will end up in what my wife calls my Museum of Computing, which is a barn upstate New York. I have taken 3 27, or let's see, so it's like 10-meter trucks of equipment up there. And so I've been doing this for a very long time. And if you can see the size of this, you can imagine the size in 10. Okay, so all of the old equipment is there. So when we look at things, just be aware that not everybody embraces this new technology. Back in the early days of the computing, Ken Olsen, which was the most successful small computer, was saying there's no reason anybody would like a computer in their home. And then this thing showed up, which was the Xerox Alto. This was, by the way, the first computer that actually had a graphic user interface. They didn't make very many of them. There were only 5,000 ever made. But these computers, this computer ultimately became something kind of important because Steve Jobs came along and saw it and turned it into the Lisa on the left and, of course, the Apple. And in the early days, it was the Apple was just green screens, and then we went on there. So I don't have an Alto in my museum, but I do have those 2 computers. So the Lisa and and of course the Apple II are in there. And we've come a long way since mobile phones. That was one of the very first mobile phones. Yes, I have one. I didn't bring it with me. And of course, the iPhone. So a lot has changed over time. Now, at Mobile World Congress, which I just came back from, they'd run a little video at the beginning to sort of put into perspective the change of technology. This is from last year, because this year they made it very, very wide, the video, so you couldn't videotape it. They don't want you to have it. So this I shot, so it's not great quality, but it's worth looking at because, where's my hair? It is a, So this is just showing you what the mobile industry talks about. And just look at these numbers on the left here. It's the numbers going. Nothing much happened. The broadband connections, live, 80s, 90s, no connections. And all of a sudden, as it started getting into, look, it wasn't until about 2000 that we started to see, all of a sudden, broadband connections with the iPod. This is very, very recent, is what I'm trying to say. And it wasn't until 2009 that we started getting high-speed connections. And then it started growing extraordinary. That first number, those are billions of connections. Those are billions of lines. And it's keep on growing. And now we're at 2014, and now we have multiple billions of people connected, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. So this is the world of technology as being changed, as being modified by the mobile world. And of course, the economy is huge. Now, it's a 5 trillion business, 9 trillion ecosystems. Now, of course, this is a promotional video for the GSMA, so they're obviously putting the big numbers on there. But it's not small numbers. If you agree with the numbers exactly or not, it doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make, it is a major changing thing. Mobile is also taking over the internet. I do a lot of work with retailers, and I'm talking to some retailers now, large multinational retailers. They're not even bothering to build an application for the internet. They go straight to mobile. And then, after they've done their mobile, they then do maybe an internet version. People are not using laptops anymore like they did. Look at this. This is called a cellular cow, like a cow that is in the fields for giving you milk. The cow stands for cellular operation on wheels. Now what this is, you've probably seen these if you've gone to a football match. When there are a lot of people coming, they roll these trucks. They're portable cellular stations. They bring them out. Now not, every carrier, every world has these. But what's really interesting is this next picture. This is a cellular cow, except it doesn't need any infrastructure. This is operating directly. It has a windmill. It has solar panels. It has a microwave. And this is a complete cellular operation in the middle of nowhere on a field. I can imagine someone in an airplane pushing these out the door every 10 kilometers and dropping them down. It doesn't need anything. Now, do you think that they're putting this with 2G or 3G? Oh no. These are 5G. These are generations we don't even have here. So I'm running around Spain and I'm getting 3G, maybe a little 4G. I can go to parts of Africa and Asia and I get 5G already. And I get coverage that's perfect. I took the train from Barcelona to Madrid, and as I went across the country, I would cellular go up and cellular go down, mobile go up, mobile go down. With this system, everywhere it's perfect. They're not bothering to run the wires anymore. That's why it's going to mobile and not the regular internet, because these computers don't really talk to those networks. So they're not bothering to put the wires in. Now, of course, where you have a major city, you do have to worry about infrastructure. But this is happening, and this is happening very quickly. Tablet PCs. This is a quote from Information Week. This is after the iPhone was released, basically saying nobody wants a tablet PC because we tried it. We did it with Windows PC. Nobody liked it. And they're just not selling. And no matter what Steve Jobs does with his magic dust, it won't change anything. Well, Steve Jobs did come out with the iPad. It's not even 4 years old. It was on April 3rd, so it's only almost 4 years old. So it's not even 4 years old. But look at this next slide. That red is the growth of tablets compared to smartphones. Tablets has changed things. So people are getting rid of these things. These are creation devices, and they're moving straight to tablets. Of course, that means the PC is dropping. No wonder that retailers now are building mobile applications first and not bothering to build websites. Get off an airplane anywhere in the world, and you'll see people checking their smartphones. And by the way, the smartphone is all about data now. It's not about voice. John Chambers, I'll talk about in a second, was talking yesterday at Mobile World, and one of the comments he made is that we have certain things that we take for granted. Water, running water. We take running electricity. It's sort of civilization. That defines civilization. He is saying now data is just as important, and that it won't be long before we will assume that you are not in a civilized world unless you have a large stream of data. I have actually been very surprised. I grew up in France. I come to Europe very, very frequently. And 10 years ago, in the United States, Europe was far ahead of the United States in mobile technology, in digital cellular. I had data services. I had a ubiquitous coverage. I worked everywhere. And because of some strange legislation things we did in the United States, we had a balkanization of individual carriers and different technology standards with mess. Ralph de la Vega, who is the chairman of AT&T Wireless, was recently speaking in Europe a month ago, and he said, I can't believe what you've done in Europe. You've gone from leaders to laggards in less than 10 years. I am now absolutely astonished that I'm so used to now having connections in the United States on my mobile phone, 20, 30 megabits. At my home, 600 megabits. At my office, a gigabit. I came to the hotel here. I had 1 megabit down, 300 kilobits up. Even though I carry with me my ubiquitous data, even this is only 2 megabits if I'm lucky, and a megabit up. So it's really, Europeans are going to have to do something about this. And unfortunately, it's caused by your local regulations, because individual countries have said they want to maintain the control over the wireless infrastructure, the legacy of the telecoms. I was speaking with the vice president of the European Union in Munich about a month ago, and she was saying to me, you know, we are trying to change that. So it will happen here, but just so you know, it's moving. It's also happening in retail. This is the new Verizon store in Minneapolis. I think I had more phones than they did. This is the Verizon mobile store. So this is like Orange or something here. It is everybody, there's nobody comes out in front of a counter anymore. Everybody carries a tablet. It's all about bringing the customer experience to the customer, because the customer comes with their own products, with their own BYOD you talked about. Now, as you might imagine, I carry a few phones with me because I test things. And so I'm unusual, but it's not that unusual. I mean, just to give you an example, I carry this phone, which is interesting. This is the Motorola X, by the way, just bought by Lenovo company. And Lenovo is Chinese, of course, and very interesting. What's interesting about this phone, though, is this phone looks like a regular phone, except this phone runs on Wi-Fi and only goes to the mobile network when it doesn't have a Wi-Fi signal. The result is the cost of using this phone is only €5 a month. So you don't have the huge data cost because you're using it on your own network when you're home, which is what most people use it for, and then when they go out, they use it for voice on a regular network. Of course, I carry things like the Note because I can write on it. Here's a iPhone. There's this one I keep in my pocket because it's so small. It's a very little tiny phone, little emergency phone. But there's some other innovative things coming on in front. I've got another one here at the Nexus. There are lots of them. But this one is one that I found very, very interesting. This is a Russian phone. And it's called the Yoda phone, and it looks like a regular Android phone. But what's interesting is on the back, there's a second screen. And this is e-ink, which means that it only uses electricity or power when it changes the content. So I can go on here, if I can turn this on here, and I can go in and find, I don't know, some, I'm offline, okay. But if I just swipe down here, I can take whatever was on the front screen and put it on, well, well, supposedly like that. Anyway, I won't waste your time. But basically, I can take what's on this screen and put it on the back screen. The battery can completely be dead, and I still have something on here, my agenda. So you're seeing innovations. Now, we just came back from the launch of the new Samsung Galaxy 5, and it was an interesting phone. But it's the big change is going to be when you take this type of display, when flexible, and you'll be pulling it out, be folding it up, rolling it in. It's going to be built into the covers. That's coming very, very soon. This is the first example of it. Sorry, I'll put something better on it later. But this is prototype. Don't buy it. It's a piece of junk. But this is indicative of. I wouldn't say it's a piece of junk. This is a work in progress. But these guys are very smart, and they've come up with a very interesting product. And the latest one now is touch, et cetera. This is where it's going. And it's a small Russian company doing it. Watch out for them. Anyway, we're talking about nodes, 100 billion nodes. And when you look at, it's basically taking physical objects and adding hyperlinking to it. So like what we did with text, we're now doing with objects. And we're putting physical objects, we're adding technology to it. And the other thing that's very important to understand is these devices don't have interfaces. There's no keyboard, there's no screen. What these devices need is this. So this is not a phone anymore. What this is the interface. It's the control to these other devices. Now the devices might be a store, the devices might be a thing, they might make all different devices along the way. So I'll give you a little example. This thing. No screen, no nothing. I push the button and it lights up green. And you go, okay, what is this? This is a pretty sophisticated little device. What this device is you put this, there's a lot of value in my equipment, so this goes in my suitcase. And this is a connected sensor that knows where my suitcase is at all times and reports it to the cloud. It also has an accelerometer as well as an inclinometer, so it knows if it's going fast. So if it's on a train, it's okay. But if it goes on an airplane, because it sees it taking off, it will turn off the mobile connection so it doesn't try to transmit in the air, and therefore it's legal to have on an airplane. But as soon as it comes back down, it will start telling you where your bag is, going through the luggage and all the rest. You can track it. And when you get close to it, you can even use it with low-powered Bluetooth, and you can then track your bag. So if anybody takes my bag, watch out, I'm tracking it. So John Chambers is talking about the Internet of Everything. And he really is saying we're going to embed stuff in all kinds of new technologies. So I took this slide yesterday, and you can see we've gone from, bridged, routed, switched, this is the telephone network, to packets, which is the data system before, to mobile. Notice where mobile is way back here, to virtual, to video, any device, now cloud application, and the Internet of Everything. That's the trend we're going on here, moving up and down. So just because we're doing mobile was actually pretty old already. So be careful on that as well. He says something that's pretty crazy. He says it will change everything. And you know what? I think he's right. What's doing it? The phones that are here changed because we had to put a lot of things in here. Remember, when the iPhone first came out, it was all about speaking. 2007, the iPhone came out. There was no app store. If you wanted to put an application on an iPhone, you had to jailbreak it. 2008, Android came along. Apple was saying, oh, maybe we'll do something. It wasn't until 2009, that's 5 years ago, that this thing changed. And of course, it's completely changed our way. But this is just one little thing I'm just pointing out. What's in here, 2 years ago, this thing would have been far too expensive to buy. Because every axis of an accelerometer or a gyroscope cost money. This would cost hundreds and hundreds of euros to have one of these. But now, the cost is dropping dramatically. Now, all that functionality is on a chip smaller than my fingernail. And I can now put that into a lot of different things that you wouldn't think of. So sensors for everywhere. These are garbage cans in Barcelona. They now have sensors like this. They don't tell you whether the garbage can is being stolen. They tell you how much recycling is in it, and they then reroute the trucks based on how much garbage is in the thing. Far more efficient saving. Same thing being done with street lighting. So if there's nobody on the street, why should the lights be on? Turn them down. These sensors, of course, are moving into another area, which is what we call wearables. So obviously I'm wearing a Google Glass, but I'm also wearing a Samsung watch, a Pebble watch, this is the Nike Fuel, but that's not all. I have a few others. And there, there's Fitbits and Jawbones and a bunch of watches. None of these are ready for prime time yet. They are all prototypes and concepts. They each do something interesting. No one does it all. This one, for example, has on the back a little infrared pulse that goes in that measures your heart rate. This one has, you can actually talk on it on the phone, but the battery only lasts for a day. This one, the battery lasts for a week, but you can't use it as a phone. This is the Sony watch, which now has navigation on it. So instead of having to look at your GPS, it will actually navigate on the watch. This one is by Qualcomm. I don't quite know what this one does. Seriously, it's an experiment. Mainly it's the display, because this display will last for a week. It is full color, but it also, the interface though, is terrible. I can never make it work. So they're all so now I can light it up, but it also has, see, it's just the logic, it just doesn't make any sense. So there are lots and lots of wearables. Of course, if you haven't seen it and you want to sort of laugh a little bit, take a look at Saturday Night Live, the parody of Google Glass. It's hysterical. But at Mobile World, Samsung introduced something called the Galaxy Fit. I had it with me, but they took it back. Sorry. I'll have it next time. It's very small. It's closer in size to this than to this. You can see it in my fingers. You can see how small it is. And it does your health and everything else. It does steps and health. It also does messaging. But it also is a media controller. So I can now use it to control things. So it is actually, it's using curved glass, curved OLED. So they're starting to get better, but it's not quite ready yet. It'll be, again, when we have the curved, flexible displays, I think we're going to see some very interesting things. But think about it. If this thing is connected to your mobile phone, which knows where it is, has connectivity, when I walk down the street and I walk near a branch, all of a sudden this will vibrate and say, by the way, did you know that you can get a special discount here? I don't have to pull out my phone and look at it. It'll be on it, or it'll pop up in my glass. Already today, when I walk down the street, this thing on my glass, and I can show you after if anybody wants to see, will actually tell me things. It'll say, oh, there's a good deal in the restaurant here, or there's something interesting for sale here, or it'll give me news information. All of this is coming in glass, and I can subscribe to different things, tells me about traffic, etc. So wearables are going to be very, very big. None of them, including glass today, are quite ready, but they're all first experiments. And it's going to be as common as wearing regular glasses. If you think back, when these regular glasses, I've got to get some pictures of what glasses looked like in the beginning when they first were invented. They looked as crazy as some of the things that we see today. Now, of course, we wear them, we don't think twice about them. Of course, the wearables are more than just things that you use. This is a small sample of all kinds of different wearables that people were showing at CES show. And those wearables, well, I'll go back to the dog in a second. So the wearables have a lot of different applications. When I travel, one of the things that I do is I like to watch movies. So I put on my glasses like this, and if you see someone on the airplane that looks very strange, it's probably me. So there's my, so I now have, other than looking very strange, I have in my eyes the equivalent of a screen bigger than this, in full color, in 3D if I wanted it, surround sound using DTS surround sound, noise canceling. So I get on the airplane, I'm like, goodbye. You know, I'm in my own little world, I don't have to worry about it. So wearables are not just for humans. They're now putting wearables on animals. And that brings up the whole notion of, well, I'll put it very simply. This is a wearable for dogs. You put this on the dog collar. This is the interface, little dog house. USB goes in here. And this tracks the fitness of your dog. And you say, well, why would you want to do that? Well, chances are this is actually more useful than it for a human. Because if a human is not feeling well, they can say something. Dogs can't say it. But I can look at their activity. If they're sleeping much too much, or they're not, or they're too active and all the rest, all of a sudden, this will actually be kind of useful. So you're going to see lots of wearables. So the same technology that I wear on my wrist is also being made for pets. Of course, this guy is using for cameras. Of course, it goes in the home as well. These are home networks. So this device here is very, very interesting. It's called the Revolve. And what this does, and I'll show you how it works in a second, is there are a lot of different devices, and they all interact with the home in different ways. So for example, this device here measures your temperature, humidity, and all the rest, and puts it online. This is a door closer, magnetic, wireless, of course. So it just unpull the tape off of this, stick it on the wall, and I can now measure closeness. This is a tag you put on your keys, so when you come home, it'll automatically unlock your door. This device here is a doorbell, but it's got a camera, and it's internet connected. So when you press the doorbell, it automatically sends a message to your phone, no matter where you are, to say, and you can actually see who's on the doorbell. Just connects up, just regular, like regular wiring to the doorbell. Very simple, but it's now putting these technologies together. Now, the reason that I mentioned this device is because of this company called Nest. I don't know if you have these in Europe yet. The developer of the iPod from Apple built a company called Nest. And this is a thermostat for your home. But it's a lot more than a thermostat. It's a connected thermostat. And they have a smoke detector, and they are about 2 years old, a little bit over 2 years old. They just sold their company to Google for $3.5 billion, not even 2 years old. And this was the wake-up call to the industry. All of this was all of these things were seen as small little gadgets for people not to pay attention to. But when Google bought Nest for $3.5 billion, and they said, oh my God, the world is changing. And it just happened a couple of weeks ago. This is a very, very big deal. Now, what does this do? Well, what this does is it allows me to be able to look at what's happening. All of these devices, the phones, all have their own interfaces. So just put it into perspective. This is an interface for your garden. This goes into your garden and automatically tells you whether your plants need water. This one goes on your bed and tells you how well you're sleeping. This goes on your tennis racket, and it measures how good your tennis swing is. I actually have a football that has sensors in it. I can't take it on the plane because when it goes through the X-ray, they get a little worried about a round thing with wires and batteries in it. If you have children, this is a good one. This is an internet-controlled toothbrush. If they don't brush their teeth enough, it sends a message to you saying they're not brushing their teeth enough. This is even crazier. This is an internet-controlled fork. And this measures how fast you eat. So if you eat too fast, it will start shaking and send a message saying you're eating too much or too fast. So I'm guilty of that. But there are a lot of these sensors are being put into a lot of things that you wouldn't normally think of. But each one of them had a separate application. So for example, this is an internet-controlled light bulb. Now, I can put this bulb in, and I can plug it in, and there's no switch, and unfortunately can't get the Wi-Fi to work on this here, but I can now talk to this bulb. Now, of course, I can do this from anywhere, so we'll do that. I'm going to pull out my iPhone here. Maybe. Where's my iPhone? No. Did I put it somewhere? Oh, thank you. Okay, here's my iPhone. So we are going to connect into my house, and we're going to, so this is the interface here for the interface. So I'm picking a light. So of course you don't know what I'm doing because I could tell you something and you won't believe me, but we'll show you. So Command Tab, we'll go to the internet. So these are cameras, and I'm now going to connect up to look at my office remotely, and we'll make this full screen in a second. Now there's of course a little bit of delay here because of okay, so it's dark in New York. There's my office, dark at night. Here's my phone. So I'm going to tap this here, and I'm going to say, turn it on. So in a few seconds, because there's a delay from the camera to when it happens, in the right-hand side, you will see a light come on. Maybe. It was working before. So, has it come on yet? Well, you can see up in the corner there's digital signage running up there. That's digital signage, multiple TV sets, cameras and everything, and all of that is over-the-top TV. Let me see, why is this not working? Let me pick a color here, see if I could, oh, I know why. We'll turn it on this way. It was dimmed. Maybe? Well, let's say I want it to be pink. Come on. You can do it. Well, maybe we're not going to do this demo. But basically, I can go in here and I can adjust the lights. But this is very strange. Why is it not doing it? Am I not connected? Done. Oh, 72. I had an error message, so that's probably, well, anyway. I'll make it work in a minute because I don't want to take all my time doing this. But trust me, it does work. Oh, it does work? Okay, oh, good. Now, let's pick a color. So I'm going to pick a color here. There we go. Now I can change the color in the room. So I can change the color remotely. So I'm just adjusting a light bulb in there, and I made it blue or green if you want. By the way, this application, we've also applied it to a building in New York, and the Bank of America building has a spire on top, antenna, with the same type of lighting, and some of us have the application. So it's a great party trick. You say, oh, the building's red tonight. I really think it should be, it's green tonight. I really think it should be red. And I can hit a button, and all of a sudden, I can turn the top of the Bank of America building a different color. But anyway, you're seeing it actually work. And that's a single light bulb. And it's just because it's internet controlled. So I am now Wi-Fiing back into my network, interfacing through this box, and now I'm able to change the lights. But that's not all. I can also change, and we won't do it because my wife is sleeping, and I don't think she would appreciate some of these other things I'm going to do in here. So I can also do, I can change the temperature. I can adjust the lights as you've done. I can open and close the curtains. I can put in, there's my cameras. I can change the music in the room. I can turn on the TV. I can, in fact, totally remote control my house just with a little application on here. And I'm not doing voice. It's also going to happen in retail. I'm going to do the exact same thing in the store or anywhere else. That's what happens when things are connected. So moving right along, the next area is consumer digital health. And you think about it, all these sensors, well, what could they be used for besides turning on lights? Could they have some better purpose in life? So I put together, well, I actually bought a little kit. Now, normally, if you go camping or whatever, you buy one of these little kits for hiking, and it's got typical things in it. I, of course, took some of those out and replaced them with other things. Because you don't want... So, if I want to play doctor, of course, the first thing you need is you need a stethoscope, right? That makes you official doctor, so I can listen. But interesting about this one is it has a jack on it. So now, what I'm hearing here can be transmitted back to the real doctor in a hospital. Of course, the next thing a doctor does is take your temperature, plugs into your iPhone, and now I can take the temperature. If you have glucose problems and you're diabetic, this is a connected glucose meter, and this is got its own cellular. It will automatically transmit your glucose reading back to the doctor. This one here is for blood pressure. So this measures your blood pressure, Bluetooth connected. This is a little bit more accurate pulse and oxygen. So put this on here, plugs into your iPhone, and now I'm getting my pulse and oxygen back. But this one is the one I like the best. This is an iPhone. And yeah, ooh, yeah. And it has a little extra something on the back. Notice some contacts on here. And what this is a EKG. And now there is my electrocardiogram on my phone. And of course, this is being transmitted back to the doctor as well. So we're now all of a sudden taking, this is in real time, obviously. There's my heartbeat. Normally you'd stick it on your chest, but I'm not going to take my shirt off. But this gives you the idea of where it's going. Now, this digital fitness and digital health is becoming a real phenomena. Just look over 6 months, the growth in just one site where it aggregates all this data. So this mobile medicine, this is real. But there's a new device coming out. Look how big it is. It's very small. It's not much bigger than this. And it does everything I just showed you in a little device like that. This is going to change the way we monitor people's health, especially for elder people. And we have a lot of, my mother is 88 years old, and she lives by herself. But wouldn't it be great if I could, and if she could live in her own home longer, it'd be much better. Wouldn't it be great if I knew that she was healthy without bothering her? You will see these sensors combined with this. Somebody is going to make a huge business about doing this because you're going to have to go somewhere to subscribe to these things. And it's not going to be your hospital, it's not going to be the doctors, it's not in their interest. Could it be your bank? Could be. It could be insurance company. But somebody is going to be offering the aggregation of this data because every piece of data by itself doesn't mean anything. Put it all together in big data becomes very, very interesting. So moving right along, when we talk about sensors, we don't just talk about physical sensors such as accelerometers and gyroscopes and all the rest. There are other types of sensors. And imaging is one area where it happens interesting. Oh, by the way, this thing that just fell down, that camera that I was using to look at my house, that's what this is. They're little cameras. They basically just plug it into the internet, and it has DVR functionality. So we could actually go back and look at what happened 10 minutes ago. I have, I think, 6 of these all over the place, and they're very, very useful. Obviously, a 7th one here. But this is another sensor. This is a camera, and I will let people walk around here, just take a look at it if you want to do it. This is invisible light. This is infrared. So if you look around here, you can focus on it. You can tell people's temperature. You can tell all kinds of things that you couldn't normally see. So you focus it like you would normally focus. So if you're looking at equipment, want to know where the heat's coming from, if you're worrying about heat loss in your house. But I have it in my car, and I use it to sense pedestrians and animals at night. So before I could see an animal or something, it will come up and display that in my heads-up display and tell me a warning. There's a deer or something crossing the street, and I know what to do about it. That's called a FLIR camera. Now, not very innovative for technology-wise. The military has been using this for years. That's what night vision is all about. But this is now in the consumer's world. This is now something that people can get. And that's a camcorder too, by the way. So we can actually record all of that and do videos. 1990s, concert. Everyone held up lighters. 2000s, everybody holds up smartphones. So this, of course, is the Nokia 1020. This is a 41 megapixel camera. This is much higher resolution than this very nice Sony camera. And it's gotten a little bit bigger because there's a real lens in here. We're going to see some amazing things happening. At Mobile World, I saw a camera phone from Sony that shoots ultra-high definition video, 4K video in a camera phone. So when I did a 4K telepresence system 3 years ago for a large institutional bank, each camera cost me $150,000. Very expensive to do 4K. I can now buy this Sony Xperia Z2 for $500. I can buy a camcorder like the one you're using back there that does full 4K for under $2,000. What's happened is amazing. The same thing for the displays. But the cameras, it's not just the cameras that are changing. Look at the uploads to daily numbers. This is how many things are being uploaded to photos every day. And you can see before the iPhone came out, everyone was using these type of photos. Nobody set photos on the internet. Now, iPhone comes out, and it took until about 2009 before connectivity and applications started. As soon as those applications started, kaboom, off it goes. Huge increase. And cameras have also, people are trying to do things. Like, for example, this is another camera that's kind of interesting because this camera works with a cell phone. Now, it's just a lens, right? And then this is a cell phone, which has to turn right side up, and uses NFC. So I bring the two together here with some luck. And now, what's happening is there's the display, and there are little, actually you can pull this out like this, and you can, now I have my, oops, I pushed the button here so I can't do it. So now what I have is my camera functionality on the back of my cell phone. So I've taken a very good lens and I married it with communications. Good concept, terrible implementation, because when you want to take a picture, you want it to be fast. So by the time you do all of that, the picture's gone. But the idea is here. This is why I say this will end up in the Museum of Computing. This is where things are changing. So you're seeing innovations like that. But it's not just still images. First we did stills, then video. Sound is very important, and unfortunately I don't have enough headphones to show you sound. But there was another presentation yesterday, and I've seen it multiple times, and I do this myself. If I show you very bad VHS video and very, very good ultra-high definition video, and I change the sound, and I put really good sound on the VHS and terrible sound on the ultra-high definition, then I ask non-experts what's the best picture. They will pick the one with the better sound because our brain reacts to the sound more than the picture. So we can see, we can hear and appreciate the resolution and the spatialness of sound far greater than we do the video. Now, obviously, an expert would see the difference, but it's really, sound is an important piece. And of course, data is the other piece that's coming into it. So we're now merging data. So another sensor, and you've seen this. This is a jersey that you wear sports. It's called a Sensoria. I have a ladies' version, but it's a bra. I didn't think I should bring that with me. But what's in here is a sensor inside that measures my activity, and then it transmits it back to a central location. In this case, it'd be my mobile phone. But this data is also now being put in to football players. And so when the football player is on the field, I know how long they've been on the field. I know how fast they're running. I know where they are. I know their name. I know their heartbeat. I can look at them, how they're tired, they're not tired. The ball has sensors, so I can tell you how fast it's going. When Messier kicks it, whether it's spinning or not spinning. I mean, all that information I will know. And that information, that data, right now is only in the hands of the coaches. But that's happening today. I'm not making this up. But that information is soon going to be on your television screen. So as the player is moving around, there'll be a little bubble around over them that says the name of the player, how fast their heartbeat is, where they're going, how fast the ball went. All of this stuff will be combined together. That's what I say by data. So you're going to take the imagery, you're going to take the sound, you're going to add data to it, and there's going to be a whole new media type coming out because of that. By the way, here's another version. This is for your head, and this will measure how many times you hit your head, and this is for if you have kids, also very useful. You know, if you're worried about them hitting the ball on their head, this will tell you if they've had too many shocks or not. But it's all the same idea. It's just a sensor strip, no different than. It's very similar to, just a sensor strip, just like the bed thing. These sensor strips, to put it into perspective, the accelerometer. So that's the little chip. It can tell the difference. If I were taking the phone, it can tell the difference between tapping with my finger, my fingernail, my knuckle. It will know that difference just by the vibrations that it happened, just because of how I do it. That's how sensitive these things are. So you put that into a device on your body, and it changes things rather dramatically. So, and it's also now adding crowd support. So you're taking all of this and you're adding data from the crowd. So it's not just the data coming from these devices, but other things. So it's coming from the sensors you're wearing in your body. It's coming from Waze, which is now integrated into Google. So it tells you real-time traffic, not by some policeman looking at the traffic, but by actual mobile phones moving in the traffic, because I know where they're moving, I know how fast they're going. Don't tell me that it's going 70 kilometers an hour. I know it's moving at 2 kilometers an hour because I can see everybody's mobile phone is only moving at 2 kilometers an hour. That brings us to a point, that is that this year, everyone's predicting is the pivotal year, where all of this technology, it took about 4 years to move from the cost being low enough we can put in different things, the adding of tablets. And so just look at these facts. Television is going to change more in the next 5 years, I predict, than it did since the beginning of television. Television used to be a thing that you'd go into your living room, or you have a big screen, you watch it. Not anymore. Tablet owners, 2 out of 3 tablet owners actually use their tablet to watch TV. This is statistics from Viacom. Millennials, the generation now that's doing all this stuff, 40% use it for social media while watching television, and in China it's 70%. So the experience, the social experience of television is now dual screen using a tablet, either watching on the tablet or doing other things with it. All this metadata I was talking about all comes together. Even young people, 9 to 14-year-olds, this is on a global basis, 28% of them actually have a smartphone, and 14% have tablets. These are 9-year-olds. And if you look at little kids and they're being put in strollers, they will be working with phones, and they will be working with tablets because it's logical for them. And now, already today, 38% of people use a device other than TV to watch television. These numbers have gotten the point right now where this is the year where it's going to tip over. It's going to be the tipping point this year, 2014. Look at this. This is last year. These are the number of hours of new video content uploaded per minute. So we're uploading in May of last year 100 hours of video every minute being uploaded. I mean, and that's a year ago. So now that I can produce this stuff very easily, it's changing things. And we're seeing now short-form video Twitter, and Vine. And by the way, Dropcam, this little camera I showed you that I was just using, well, I have 6 of those that are on all the time. They are streaming video. And they are now, that one little company is producing more video than YouTube because it's constantly streaming it. And it's sitting there. And I can go back now and look at what happened an hour ago or 2 hours ago or 7 days ago because it's all being cloud DVR. So it's very, very much changing. So what's making this happen? Well, we've got broadband has become ubiquitous. Remember, it's like water and electricity. Broadband will become that same way. You've got new companies like Netflix, YouTube, HBO, got Prime. So let's take a look at Amazon Prime. So we all think of Amazon as a bookstore. And this is their product, which they call the Kindle Fire. And it is a very, very high resolution screen. Despite what Apple says, this is higher resolution. They talk about pixels. This is much higher than pixel. But what's interesting about this is, of course, you can do webbing and everything else. But if you look down here, they've changed the interface, and they brought it based on things you actually do. And so if I wanted to watch a movie, I can hit this button and I could watch a movie. Now, I'm not connected to the internet, but I could watch this movie because it's streamed. And they are now making this available. And oh, by the way, you take this, and if you don't have a wired connect, if you have a wired connection, easy, you can just plug this little dongle. That's HDMI. You plug this into the side of it here, and now this becomes my TV. Or if you have a wireless version, you simply walk into your house and you can move this onto the big screen or split it. But what's really interesting with this here is this thing, which is called Help. This is live video help. And this is changing the way people are doing things, because if I hit this button, I have to hook up the Wi-Fi, but there's a button that normally says help. If I hit the help button, I will be connected to a technician at Amazon within about 30 seconds who will know exactly what I'm doing on this thing and will then help me visually and audio and say, oh, let me help you how to do that. So it's all about the customer experience. Don't forget, all of this is electronics. Think of the barn upstate New York. It's all going to go. User experience, on the other hand, that's going to stick. That will stay. So simply having a website and saying, email me, if you've got a comment, that is like talking back, 30 years ago, where send me a letter in the mail, and maybe we'll get it 3 days later. This is where it's going. And Amazon, very quietly, is now becoming a huge producer of content. HBO, Go, Netflix are doing the same thing. Now, it hasn't really come as much to Europe as it is in the United States, but right now, there are some very big legislation coming down that is going to change a lot of this, net neutrality, et cetera, going to have a major impact on all of this. Of course, ultra-high definition TV. We're all talking about it. That is the first ultra-high definition TV. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring it. It wouldn't fit in the overhead. But I did bring something else. I brought a wire. And I brought 3 things. Ultra-high definition TV is 4 times the resolution of regular TV. And when the manufacturers, the Sonys and the Panasonics, the Samsungs, et cetera, released these products, they put a very high price tag on it. So, oh, it's better, it's higher resolution. The reality is, though, that the cost of making an ultra-high screen is the same as making a regular screen. They're just putting a markup on it because they want to make some more money, because the only people making money in the television business are the truckers who move the TV from one place to the other. The margins are going so far down. So they tried to keep the price very high. This year, actually last year, was the first year where another pivot happened, and that happened in consumer electronics. It used to be that the consumer electronics was being driven by activity in the United States. It's now being driven by activity in China. In the United States, we have 7 mega cities, cities of very large cities, New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, large cities. In China, they have 140 cities like that. And they are buying TVs for the first time. And those people, they're not going to go with tubes and 4x3 or small TVs, they're going to go right away and buy these things. So in the United States, when the 85-inch TV was shown last year at CES, it was $25,000, so about 30-some thousand euros. That same TV in China, minus a few little things like the Samsung name, well, that one's LG, I think, but anyway, with like the name underneath it, is selling for $4,000 because of the big screen. Now, what's different about it? Well, it doesn't have the smarts. It doesn't have all of the super apps. But that's okay because this is Google Chrome, Chromecast, $35. This gives you all the smarts with Google. This is the Roku's version, $59. So I just plug this into the HDMI port of my TV and I have all my smarts. So $4,000 plus $49, I've now got smart TV. The other thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have a up conversion to take standard TV and up convert it, make it better. They don't need to because they're going straight to ultra high definition, but we do because we still have old format. Well, this cable will do that. This is using a graphics processor unit in this cable. Doesn't look like very much as a cable, but a box that did this that I had 5 years ago cost me $5,000 to do the same that this cable does, and my box then was big and expensive. This cable's $40, and it's an active cable that will do it. That's because of electronics. And then, if I want to take it one step further, I can put this little module in the TV. This is a media server. This will hold 100 movies. It'll stream it Wi-Fi, by the way. So instead of having this big media server in a rack, this little box here will actually send my movies, and I can actually put it on my TV as well as put it on my tablets or my phones or whatever I want, a media server. Again, that's another $100. So you start putting things together like that, and you start changing. That's why I say the television is going to change. The technology is enabled. The producers are producing. The networks exist. Technology exists. It's all coming together. So over the next 5 years, there's going to be a tremendous shift in television. And we're going to be looking at that television in the living room and start saying, that's like the crank telephone. It's that big. It's also applying to business. This is a very interesting camera. What's happening here, this is a camera with multiple lenses on it. So this does a wide view. So I could put this camera here and every one of you would be in the picture, unlike having to pan. So these cameras have pan and tilt. You have to zoom them around. This one doesn't. It's all there. And electronically then, if you have a very wide screen, you can see everybody in the room. But if you don't have a wide screen or a tablet, you can actually move electronically and look at any part you want. Now, this is only 180 degrees, but there's 360 versions of it. And in fact, there's one that's a ball, which is very clever. It's a ball. It's about this big. And it's got a 100 megapixel camera. It's got cameras all over. You take the ball and you throw it in the air. The accelerometer says it's going up, it's stopping, it's coming down. And just when it's about to come down, it takes a picture with all the cameras, 100 megapixels, and gives you a complete 360 view of where you're at. So your real estate, you want to look at a room, throw it in the air, just throw it up in the air, toss it and catch it. Boom, you now have a picture of the room, and you can now navigate around the room any way you want. That's the type of technology that's happening here. I built a system, as I said before, using digital cinema, 4K telepresence. It's actually 8 times the resolution of digital cinema. So for true collaboration, so instead of me having to be here in person, you could have seen me life-size in full resolution with very, very high quality audio. Remember, audio is more important than video. And especially if you're trying to negotiate something, micro gestures, eye pupils dilating, muscles flexing, and all the rest, those are the type of things that you learn when you have the super high resolution. So it's more than just a gimmick. It actually has business applications. Okay, robots. How much time do we have here? Are we... Okay. Because we're running out of time here, so I can keep going. Robots. Robots are coming. And robots are coming in lots of ways we haven't thought about. So what is a robot? It has sensors, it's mechanic, and it's got software. And so here is a robot. I didn't bring a big one because, again, couldn't fit on my car in the airplane. But here is a robot. So this little robot has grabbers that will pick things up. It has sensors, and it will sense things. It'll sense I'm getting close to something here, and it'll move around. I can control it with software. So it's sort of figuring out its environment, and it's trying to figure out its space, knows where the edges are. So it has sensors on the bottom here that know it's coming off, if it's coming off the wall. It's got its own little sensors up here. And I'm going to turn this off because I'm going to confuse this poor little guy. This is fully programmable. Now, I brought this because it's easy to carry, but this is happening in a lot of different ways, and this becomes a very interesting educational tool as well, and education is one of my themes. But that leads us to 3D printing. And you've all seen, I'm sure, 3D printers. This is what at CES. So they now exist in middle, small, medium, and large. This guy used to be low resolution and cost about $4,000. Now it's high resolution and costs $900. And now the $4,000 is this one. It makes things this big. Of course, you say, well, what else can you do with them? You can do things like this. You can make this little, I printed this little castle chess piece here. It's actually pretty detailed. And interesting, in schools in the United States, they've been using these in schools, and the boys and the girls, they try to get money to buy the filament to make this. And one of the things they realize is the boys would make little castles and cars and things, rocket ships. The girls, remember, they're trying to make money. The girls were much smarter. They made cookie cutters, personalized cookie cutters, and then they made the cookies. So they sold you the cookie cutter. So I could do a cookie cutter of your head, I could do a cookie cutter of your logo, and I make personalized cookies and then give them away. So easily done on a printer. But of course, if you want to scan something, how are you going to do it? This is a scanner. This is a 3D scanner. So I could scan Miguel's head here, and I could then make a little version of it and print it, and then put you on the car, make your head down, not around like that. But this one is even more fun. This is called the Chef Jet by 3D Systems. And what this makes, it prints candy. Now, this is very good because you can now design your own candy. And the chocolates over here are especially good because the air allows you to taste it better. And you can put different layers because it actually layers down the difference. You put sugar and different types of coffee. So you can make very complex candy using a 3D printer. In more serious things, we now print skin. So if you have a burn, in the past they would graft skin from your leg and put it on your arm. Now what they do is they take cells from your body, they cultivate the cells, make an ink, just like put it in a tube, just like inkjet. Out comes skin. That's your skin, your cells, your color, and grafted onto your arm. Dentists are using it for jaws. Someone breaks their jaw in an accident. They do a 3D, they do a scan, an MRI of your jaw. They take that model, stick it into the printer, and they print a new jaw. Its 3D printing is amazing. Again, a couple of years ago, it was like science fiction. Today, you can break anything you want with them. They're really quite amazing. And you're going to go to the print store now. I remember when I got my first laser printer, they said, why in the world would you want to do laser printing? Why would you want to do offset, type, et cetera? Because you used to use offset type. Of course, laser printers will do that now beautifully now. Same thing with 3D. So automotive companies are using it to print the bumpers on your car. There's an accident. They have to. Every car is slightly different. They have to order it, wait for it to come. Now to these giant printers, they say, okay, it's a 2009 Fiat X. Put the specs in, and out comes the part. So, speaking of cars, driverless cars. We're getting very close to it. There are three classes of cars. There are assisted cars, where the cars will do certain driving for you, but you still are in control. There is the autonomous car, where the car will drive. You don't have to touch anything. That's the Google car. And then there's the pod, which is even crazier. So there's one that I saw at MIT. The car folds up to a space about this big. So you can put 4 cars in the parking spot of one regular car, 4 little cars. So when you want your car, you say, I want a car. The car slides out of the parking spot, expands like an accordion, drives down the road, nobody in it, doesn't expand, only partially expands so it can stabilize. Goes to your house, gets in front of your house. Well, there are 3 people, becomes a car for 3 people. You get in the car, it takes you to where you're going. You get out of the car, smalls down, finds a parking place, and waits for the next order. Okay? That's still a few years away, okay? I mean, I've seen it work, it's amazing. The Google car, on the other hand, I've driven in many times. If you go to Mountain View in Silicon Valley, you see them all over the place. The only ones that obey the speed limit. First time was about 3 years ago. It's really quite amazing. And of course, the semi-autonomous car, that's what I drive today. So when I'm on the highway, I never touch the accelerator or the brake. There are 7 cameras in the car, including a FLIR camera. There are cameras left, right, on the sides, looking down at the lines. It's all automated, and the cars are fully data-oriented. So that's what they do is they use LiDAR, which is this little thing on the roof here, which is a laser scanner, which sees better than you can. And then there's nobody driving, and just a steering wheel happening here. At CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, I say it should be called the Car Electronics Show, because that's where the innovation is going to be. So the products that are not there, CD players and GPSs are gone. It's replaced by cars. And at every one of these locations, I saw these 2 gentlemen. One was the head of NVIDIA. One was the head of AT&T, who talked about what's happening in the vehicles. And the reason AT&T was talking is because they've now added these things. And in the United States soon, you will not be able to buy a car without one of these. Now, these antennas are for demonstration purpose, but in the car, obviously, this antenna is built into the car. But this adds connectivity to your car. So not only does it provide you with safety information, et cetera, and the ability to surf the internet when you're in your car, but it does your navigation, it's your music, it's your entertainment. It's actually cheaper to put this in the car than to put a CD player in, because nobody uses CDs anymore. And of course, the data that's in there is important. So this is an interface that you probably don't know this, but there is a port, it's a standard port all over the world this plugs into. You plug this into the port, and now all of your car data, your steering wheel controls, everything else, will be exposed via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and now you can use it. Again, if you have kids, very useful, because you can put this in. This has GPS, of course, in it, and tracking, and it will know where your car is, how fast it's going, et cetera. So a very useful thing as well. The reason I said NVIDIA is because what's happening in gaming is very, very important. So take a look at this slide. This is GPU horsepower, a CPU and GPU horsepower. So that's the Xbox, the PS3. No big numbers, but now you take the Tegra K. It's a small chip. And the Tegra K, obviously it's a faster processor, but more important, look at the power. What used to be 100 watts, therefore big, cooling, and the rest is 5 watts. So that means that your Xbox game quality goes into this. This is a high-resolution game computer. Plugs into your TV directly. Just like that thing I gave you before for watching TV, this will do the same thing for gaming. At Mobile World, they actually stuck this into a tablet, and they were doing real-time animations that you would only see on a very high-end workstation. We talk about cell phones with 8-core CPUs, and we're going, wow, 8-core. This thing has 290 cores on it. This is real processing. And by the way, it's not just graphics. Database management and this, with those cores, very, very impressive. Outperforming Oracle on a thing like this, that size. Which brings you to virtual reality. And afterwards, I have one here. This is the Oculus Rift. It's a 3D. You put this on, and you look around. There's a roller coaster. If you want to ride a roller coaster, you can do that here. I won't go into it now. The other one is eye tracking. So this device here looks at your eyes and knows where you're looking on the screen, so you don't have to use your mouse. You use your eye tracking. And then we talk about beacons. Oopsie. These, we've all heard of beacons. They were on here somewhere. Here we go. These are beacons. These little devices are being put in. These sensors are being put in. So this will give you accuracy of 10 centimeters to where you are in the room. And so we're talking about, remember the movie Minority Report? It's not science fiction anymore. So let me go to here. So there's Madrid. And if you remember in Minority Report, they just waved their hands over things and things moved. So I'm just going to wave my hands over Madrid, and I'm going to drive around the earth and go around just by waving my hands, going down, going in. I can get in and see things. This is what's happening with eye tracking. So I just did this with a sensor. So this is real. So all of that stuff you saw in the movies, it's now becoming very real. Location-based, you all know about NFC, geofencing, subaudible messaging. So now when I walk into a store, my phone will be alerted, whether it's my wristwatch or whatever, will be alerted. There are things like smart credit cards. So in this pocket here, I have a credit card, very simple, regular credit card, NFC of course. But interestingly enough, this is a screen, this is a power button, this is a keyboard, and I can now input data in here. So I don't need that terminal anymore. I can actually do the PIN charge right here on my card. I can just put this near a reader, put it against the reader, punch in my PIN, I'm done. I don't need that whole big contraption to do it. And you tie that in with locations. And that's happening. That's very, very real as well. Coin. Coin is I don't have one here, unfortunately. It's a credit card that's universal. So you store in the credit card, in this little box, it's a little bigger than a credit card. It's actually very similar in size to this device here, to my phone. And what comes out of it is there is a card that slides out, but stored in here are all my cards. So I can put American Express, Visa, whatever, and I just simply tap the card I want, and I pull out this little piece of plastic, and I can stick it in any existing machine. And then when I stick it in, I said American Express, it's now my American Express card. I put it back in, and I say I want it to be Visa, now my Visa card. And oh, by the way, I want it to be my Visa card and my loyalty card. Put the two together, stick it in, I get both at the same time. And then, of course, with NFC, you don't even have to put it in. It does it. So that's what it looks like. So you can put macros on there. You can say, I want dining, because I always want to use dining. What this is all saying, and I'm going to wrap up quickly here, is that your customer is there. You are reaching your customer in their pocket. That's where the phone goes. By the way, there are flexible screens and everything else coming down, so you don't have to break them. So that's going to change things. So just take a simple scenario. If I'm going to the airport, I order a car. Well, I might order that remotely on the line, and the car will come. But the car comes independently. It doesn't know whether the traffic is there. It doesn't know if my plane is late. It doesn't know anything. But of course, in the new world of app internet, where we take the internet and take apps and put it all together, it will know. So the car will show up. My Google Glass will say, oh, you need to get your car now because there's traffic, and the car is waiting downstairs for you. When I get to the airport, you have to pull out your boarding pass, or you have to go find it. No, it'll know when I walk in through geofencing and beacons. As soon as I get near the security, my boarding pass will pop up on my display device. When I get on the plane, when I get in the airport, those signs you look at, what gate am I on? Forget that. It's going to show up right in my Google Glass or on my watch. It's going to tell me you need to go to gate 3, and by the way, the plane is coming down. When you get on board the plane, I always love this photo because that's not the way it is, but it's nice to think about it. It might be that way. Your food selection, instead of having hand you a little piece of paper, that's all pre-done beforehand. They come in, oh, Mr. Harper, so happy, here's your champagne, because that's what you wanted, and this particular brand, because it'll know that in advance. When you get to the other end, where's my baggage? Where's my bag? Well, remember that little orange thing? Well, I'll know where my bag is specifically, wherever it went. There it is here. It will tell me exactly where my bag is and tell me, by the way, what carousel it is and when it's coming out. So I don't have to worry. I don't have to sit there. I wonder if my bag's coming out. It's going here. It's going here. It's going here. It's all coming together, and that will all be the same app, and it'll show up on my phone. This will be the sensor sending it, but that same screen is going to tell me where my bag is. Of course, the hotel check-in, that's the one that gets me. You go to a hotel, and you've got to go wait in line. Then you've got to pull out your identification and give them your credit card. Well, they know I'm coming. They know my credit card. They've got my reservation. The lock is electronic. Why do I have to sit there and wait in the line for these people? Why didn't I just walk in and says your room is 522, go upstairs, right to your room, put your phone up against the door, and open the door. And when I walk in the room, it should open up, of course. When I walk in, the temperature should be set the way I want it, which I can do with this. The music should be the live music I like, which I can do with one of these things. The lighting should be the color I like, and the same as before. It should all be set up for me. Even the water temperature could be done that way. All of this is possible now that you start bringing these things together. So up until now, they've all been independent, but as you start bringing them together, it all becomes. That's what John Chambers says, the Internet of Things. It's, if you think about the Internet and you think about Google, we put lots of data together and we put links between them. We're doing that now with physical devices. Of course, if you don't have the education, it's not going to work. So we've got to start teaching our kids how to do that. And fortunately, there's some very cool devices. This is something called Little Bits. And it's for very, very young kids to teach them logic and technology. So blue is power. Pink is control. They magnetically come together. And green is output. So I'll stick it on here. And now if I do this, I can make my light go on and off. Okay, very cool, interesting. But now let me take something with, for example, a light trigger. So I'm going to now have this on here. And now if I shine a light on it, I can make this work. So now I've changed the control. So now I'm shining a light, it goes on. And then you add orange, which is logic. And then you stick this and you say, if there's light and there's, you can, well, I'm not going to build it here. There's light, then if there's light and sensing, then turn this on. If not, add a buzzer. And I've now just created a logic gate here. And anybody can do this. It's very simple to do. So this is allowing you to program electronics for 2-year-old, 3-year-old people, kids to do it. And you can get very, very elaborate with it. When I did this presentation for Google, I had a big table, much longer table than this. And I went down the table showing the different things. And I had left these at the beginning. When I came back, you would not believe what the Google people were making with these things. And I just brought some of them. There are lots of them. The logic they had there was just, I mean, they had these things all over the place making it. Of course, when you graduate from this, then you add this module. And that is now interfacing with USB. And of course, now you can start programming it. And you do that with Raspberry Pi. And all of a sudden, this is a full computer, $35. It's got Ethernet, USB, HDMI, audio and video, $35, running full computers. Now you plug these things together, and now you can have a computer running this stuff. You add one of these things, and now have a logic sign that is wireless, completely digital signage, for example. And I add this device to it, and now it has gesture control. You get the idea. It's all evolving very, very quickly. So that's my presentation. Sorry it took a little bit longer, but it's a lot of fun. If you want to see virtual reality and you have a few seconds, I recommend, I'll put up the roller coaster on here. It's actually a lot of fun, unless you don't like heights and things. But this allows you to do, this adds the visualization, the virtualization. This is going to be very, very big. This type of thing used to be very, very expensive, and now I have it in my carry-on bag. If anybody's got questions, by the way, I'm more than happy to answer any. But I will just quickly get rid of this here. Does anybody have any questions for anything? You know, it's so much fun to see where it's all going.
What about the flying car?
What flying car? You know, we had one at the at our Gadget Off event, and it's very much of a work in progress. Although when I got off the plane in Barcelona, I was wearing Google Glass, and the pilot said, "Oh, can I talk to you?" And he was saying, could you imagine that being avionics for ultralight? Because he's an ultralight pilot, and he thought it'd be kind of cool to be able to have the instrumentation in your glasses. So let me go into my, where is the temple coaster? Here we go. And play. All right. So anybody wants to try it? So as you move your head around, you can see different things. And I'll just hit the start button. Go right, yeah. Everybody else can see what he's seeing, but you will get the 3D experience. And you can look around. Just look around anywhere you want. Look down, look around. You see it? Oh, yes, I should plug it in. Hang on, did it get it? Okay, let me, it has to detect the video here. There we go. Do you see a screen now? Yep, okay. Play. Go. Look behind you. Look down. Up. We're seeing it on the wall, yes, on the projector. We're not seeing it in stereo though. Okay, uh-oh, here we go. You can look behind you. So everybody wants to try it, go ahead. It's and so but think about it, it's not just roller coasters. It could be looking at 3D models of a building. It could be circuitry. It could be anything. It's basically, it's adding motion control, imagery, sensors, and of course 3D reality, virtual reality. Anybody else want to try it? You want to try it, or? Well, I don't know. You got to. You have to take him away. Excuse me? One of the people in Copenhagen got sick, fell over. So it doesn't have to be reality anymore. By the way, you can do that with the other glasses, the movies too. Okay. So, yes. The Nest.
Yeah, like a couple of weeks before somebody came with the Google glasses. And
Yeah.
They were talking about Nest.
Yes. Yeah. Nest is what's most important is the acquisition by Google.
Yeah.
That's what makes the big difference here. Oh yeah. Turn it off. No, Google. Yeah, you want to see how it works? Oh yeah. Okay, so let me find a phone so I can see what you're doing. So you have to